Hey everybody. As we saw in today's hearing in Congress, Dr. Fauci is yet the latest example of how the Democrat elite in Washington will stop at absolutely nothing in their crusade for more control and more power, which obviously comes at the expense of our freedom, the expense of the interests of the American people. So Dr. Fauci is just the latest amongst the worst offenders. Sadly, there are so many examples that we can point to. You guys who watch me know that I use the word Democrat elite a lot. People ask me, who are these Democrat elite that you speak of? Yes, it's people like Joe Biden, people like Hillary Clinton, Nancy Pelosi, and Chuck Schumer. But it's important to recognize that it is also unelected officials like Fauci, who has shown throughout his entire career serving under both Democrat and Republican administrations through his actions that he serves his own interests and the interests of big pharma and big government consistently over the interests of the American people. The insidious part about this is that he and others take these actions and abuse their power in the name of working for our best interests when in fact they are doing the exact opposite. For example, as you remember during COVID, Dr. Fauci demanded that we place blind faith in him and the government. They said, just trust us. Just trust the science, that we are acting in the interest of your public health. But over time, we saw what it was really about. It was about control. It was about more money, huge amounts of money, our taxpayer dollars being put directly into the pockets of big pharma. They didn't care about the truth. In fact, they outwardly and very brazenly rejected science, rejected the truth, and just labeled their lies as science and the truth. Now we know Fauci has lied to Congress numerous times, including the lie that the National Institute of Health did not and does not perform or fund gain-of-function research. This is a serious one, and it's a crime that Democrats have imprisoned Republicans for, lying under oath before Congress. But here's the thing, is Democrats protect their friends who lie before Congress from ever being prosecuted and go after their opponents. We also know now that Fauci's team has been exposed through hearings yesterday and today. They worked behind the scenes to cover up the origins of the COVID outbreak. Fauci knew about it. He was CC'd on those emails, and he allowed it to happen and then lied to Congress about it. Fauci confirmed today that his quote-unquote guidance on ensuring that we all have 6 feet of social distancing between us wasn't actually backed up by any science. They just picked this random number out of there. I know if you were like me, when you're standing in the airport waiting to board a plane, they're saying 6 feet apart and then you're crammed together on that plane. It just makes no sense. And we can't forget Dr. Fauci's guidance was used in very serious ways to undermine our freedoms. He stopped us from freely worshiping in church or even outdoor services and drive-through services while still allowing drive-through fast food restaurants to remain open, while still allowing bars, strip clubs, and liquor stores to remain open. Fauci's so-called guidance led to the censorship of our free speech. It led to doctors who knew that what he was doing was wrong. If they dared to speak up, to challenge his guidance, they were threatened with their medical license and therefore their livelihood being taken away. This violation of our fundamental rights and free speech will have long-lasting effects. Their demonization of people who questioned or challenged Dr. Fauci and his team's guidance will have long-lasting effects. We've seen it in self-censorship, people afraid to speak up for what they know is true and right. Now, coming out of all of this, the takeaway from Dr. Fauci and the Democrat elite is they can lie to the American people. They can take away our freedoms in their pursuit of power, because as long as their friends are in power, they can rest easy knowing that they're going to get away with it. So here's the bottom line. If we, the people, are to have any hope of restoring our freedoms, from stopping this abuse of power and these lies from continuing on over and over, we must urge our congressional leaders to hold Dr. Fauci accountable for his abuse of power and lying to the American people with great negative consequence, and punish his political enablers within the Biden administration and within Congress by sending them home on November 5th, by exercising our right to free speech and make sure that our voice is heard at the ballot box. We cannot allow politicians and leaders who abuse their power to remain in power. Our ability to bring about this change is in our hands. We must hold them to account so this doesn't happen again.